He shocks me to my core here. He plays king g5. He's saying, I'm checkmating you. My opponent used their king as their final attacking weapon. This is round 4 of the PA Amateur Championship. And this is game in 75, delay 5. This is the road to NM. More like a downhill slope. But it is okay. It is okay. And yeah, I'm entering this round with 2 points out of 3. So I'm doing okay so far in the tournament. Not as good as I would hope, but it's okay. And I'm playing someone lower rated. He's rated almost 1700. And with that being said, let's hop right into it. So he played e4, and I play the good old trusty Caro-Kann here. c6, d5, counter attacking the center. He takes full control of the center and plays a knight c3 here. And this goes either into two variations. A bishop f5 would make it the classical variation of the Caro-Kann, and knight f6 would make it the Tartakower. I've played both. Fun fact, knight d7 will make it the Karpov variation, so you're going to play knight f6 supported by the other knight. I've played that a couple times. It's a bit weird. Okay. I play knight f6. He takes, doubling my pawns, but I have quick developments. So I take with the d pawn, and this pawn on the e pawn. I keep saying d pawn. I take with the e pawn, and the pawn on f6 guards the e5 and g5 squares really, really well. And in this opening, it's hard for white to develop this light square bishop. Counter, though, is that it's hard for black to develop this light square bishop. So both sides have a bad bishop, as we'll see throughout this game. He plays c3, defending his pawn. He could play bishop d3, but that would give away the pawn on d4. I have played against a 9-year-old who played this against me, bishop d3, blundering the pawn on d4, and this is just a gambit, and the computer evaluation is like 0.0, and it's like white has so many different attacking ideas with this queen on d5. And it's like black is just behind development, but black is up a pawn. I actually really need to study this because I got crushed against the 9-year-old, and I don't want to get crushed again. Anyways, that's such a tangent. Anyways, c3. He wants to defend his pawn and then put his bishop on the long, nice diagonal. I play bishop d6, and I castle. And he plays knight e2. Usually the main move is queen c2. This is like the main move order because it induces black to make a decision, whether it be h6 or h5 or potentially g6. G6 is very suspicious because white can get pretty quick with the counterplay, like h4, trying to play h5 and open up the h file here. And if black plays h5, white could consider sacrificing the bishop. And at a minimum, white has a draw by repetition. At a minimum. At a maximum, white has more than that and is just crushing. And yeah, black's going to lose without getting any of these pieces into the game. So black has to be very careful. So that's why I think queen c2 is more of the main move instead of knight e2. But knight e2, perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that. I play rook e8, pinning the knight to the king. I thought an idea behind knight e2 was to prepare bishop f4 to trade off the dark squared bishops, but actually he never does that actually. He castles here, getting out of the pin. I play knight d7, and I have a couple ideas with the knight. With this knight d7, I could go to b6 and d5 potentially, but then I get hit with c4 in a lot of cases. But maybe this knight on d5 can go to f4, but it's well guarded at this moment. Maybe this knight can go to f8 and go to g6 or e6. So definitely, like, if black can figure out where to put their pieces, black is doing great. If black can't figure out where to put these two pieces, then black is doing bad. So it's kind of just like you gotta figure out where you want to put the pieces. And of course, this problem piece for white, white also should solve that at some point. But sometimes this bishop has really good scope on this diagonal anyways, and maybe doesn't need to move. But you know, chess is hard. That's my conclusion after all those words. He plays queen c2, attacking the h7 pawn. I play knight f8, defending the h7 pawn, and now he plays knight g3. The knight on g3 could hop into f5 or h5, probably f5 is the most annoying square. So I just play g6. And I say, hey, you're going to look dumb. Like, your knight, like this pawn is 3 squares in front of the knight, which means that it controls the knight's movement very, very well. I just want to note that this pawn structure is very silly. This is such a silly pawn structure. That's it. I just think it's really cool. Anyways, so yeah, I play g6, saying, hey, your knight is really dumb. And he just plays knight e4 here, attacking the bishop and attacking the pawn on f6. I just play bishop e7, and my bishop is 3 squares in front of the knight, so it controls the knight's movements very, very well. I thought he might try knight c5, but then I play b6 with tempo, and it's like, what are you doing here? Your knight's getting kicked around all over the board. So it makes sense that he didn't play knight c5. But he did play bishop e3, just continuing development, and now I played f5. I was really hoping he would play knight g3, because now queen c3, queen c7 comes with tempo, because I'm threatening pawn to f4 forking both of those pieces. He could go back to defend against it, but still, I thought it would be. I think his knight doesn't belong on g3, so it would be nice if he put it there. Instead, though, he played knight d2, trying to rebound his knight to f3, where it's a really nice square for the knight. I play queen c7 anyways, saying, hey, if you play knight f3, I could honestly consider f4. I really could. And say that, hey, like, I have this extra space on the king side, and, like, I'm not letting go. I could consider knight e6, and let's say rook e1, knight g7, and bishop f5. This is one potential solution to my light square bishop. I could also play bishop g4 now, although in this case, knight e5 looks a little bit annoying here. I still don't know what I'm doing with this light square bishop. So probably this idea of knight e6, knight g7 to play bishop f5 could potentially be a very good one. But he doesn't allow me to go f4, he plays g3. Saying, hey, I'm going to play bishop f4, and I'm going to gain control of the dark squares in the center and in this on your side of the board too. And my first reaction was, oh, I want to play bishop d6 here, prevent bishop f4. That looks pretty good. But then knight c4, and I'm getting absolutely molloped. And there's no possible way for me to hold on to this diagonal here, because let's say I play, like, actually, I guess I could play knight e6. But I do lose a dark squared bishop, and my remaining minor pieces are suspect, to say the least. I really do not want to lose my dark squared bishop when I have all of these holes around my king, all of these dark squared holes. Very, very bad. Very, very bad. And I went back to e7, then bishop f4, and he just has way too good control of this position. Way too good control. Like, there's no reason to give him this. Best case scenario, I'm uncomfortable. Okay. So that's why after g3, I played knight e6. Now I'm controlling the f4 square with my knight, and if he plays knight c4, I'm not worried about that at all. I could play b6 if I want to. I could play b5 if I really wanted to, if I'm really feeling ambitious. Or I could play or I could just play b6, and if he doesn't move his knight, I can play bishop a6 here. So probably b6 would be my move, and play knight e5, but I'm not sure what I would play here. I could play c5 here. This could be a good move. This could be a good move, because he cannot take because his knight would be hanging. And if he plays like rook a d1, then I could consider taking, and he has his isolated queen's pawn, and we could trade like this, and I could play bishop b7. And yeah, this is probably okay. Although in this case, d5, knight c5, d6, bishop f6 looks a little bit uncomfortable here. Like, but this knight is hanging. So I guess it should be fine. It should be fine for white. Or for black, I mean. Sorry, it should be fine for black. Knight c4, bishop f3. Yeah, this is good for black. Even though this pawn is a little bit scary, I think it's okay. I think black is okay. Okay. So point is, I wasn't afraid of knight c4. That's the point. But now he plays f4. And f4 is such a committal move. I mean, just look how, like, this bishop was bad, but now it's just ugly. Now it's just in jail. Like, what is this bishop doing? Like, all these pawns are on dark squares, and it just has very little mobility. But on the contrary, how am I going to figure out my pieces? This bishop is still on c8 and really does not have a clear path to exist. Looking at it now, in the game, I did not come up with this plan, but looking at it now, I think I should probably play b6. And I should probably play b6 and bishop b7 and try to go in this long diagonal. I see no reason why this is not okay. Maybe he could play c4, and after bishop b7, he could play like knight f3, and he could meet c5 with d5, which is definitely a little bit scary. So I might not be able to get c5 in if he does play c4. But if he ever does play c4, then this d4 pawn feels a little bit weak now. So I could play rook d8, and maybe after rook a d1, I could play my bishop s6. And I am threatening in a lot of cases. Like if queen c3, depending on more than like c5, and the pawn's pinned. I guess he could play knight e5 here. Yeah, I guess that is kind of annoying. It's complicated. It's complicated, but maybe b6 and bishop b7 isn't that bad. But I was really conscious about him potentially playing c4. So my plan was play knight f8. Kind of a wild move. But my idea is, hey, I'm going to put this bishop on e6 and play knight d7. And I was really conscious about trying to make sure I have enough counterplay. I'm a very active player. I like to put my pieces on really good looking squares in my opponent's position. But here I have a lot of pieces on the back rank here. And what's his plan? What is his plan? Well, he wants to get his knight to f3 to e5 and really clamp down on my position. So I was thinking to myself, well, how do I make sure I have counterplay? I need to be able to do something in the position. I can't just sit there and wait to die. I need to be able to have something to do. So my idea was to play knight f8, and after knight f3, well, he plays rook a1 first. Fair enough, I guess. I play bishop e6. That's step number 1. Went bishop out, and then play c5. That was my idea. I really think he should just take. This dark squared bishop is his worst piece. He should just take the pawn on c5, take the bishop on c5, play king g2, and say, okay, your knight on f8 is still dumb. You still have to spend a couple turns to fix it. Meanwhile, I'm just going to maybe double up on the e-file. Maybe I'm going to, like, white is still slightly better here. Maybe the knight can still go to e5 here. Like, this is still a good position for white. Probably. Maybe he didn't like how, like, for example, he can't play knight e5 because of bishop d4 check. And I guess his king is pretty weak. Admittedly, his king is pretty weak. But still think is what he's got to play. Interestingly, black has this really interesting sacrifice. Rook takes e5. And after rook takes, I can play queen c6. That being said, I did realize the queen guards the g2 square. So I thought I could get bishop g2 check in, but I can't. I cannot. Anyways, so during the game, I thought he should definitely just take on c5. But he doesn't. That's the thing. He plays c4. And I was like, what? Instead of c5, I was also thinking about maybe I should play knight d7 to try. So after c5, let's say a3, then c5, I can take back with the knight and hit the bishop on d3. But the issue is with knight d7 was that I saw that knight g5 looked really annoying. And I really do not want to allow him to take on e6 and then give me this backwards e-pawn, like, it's just a juicy target for the rest of the game. It's just like not comfortable at all. I'm just gonna that's how you lose games. So that's why I play c5 immediately. But he plays c4. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna take. And he takes back with the bishop. And his argument is, hey, my bishop was my worst minor piece. Now it's my best minor piece. And I was like, this is scary. This is uncomfortable. Like, if I just do a couple lazy moves, queen c3, and like, how am I surviving? I'm going to lose a pawn at a bare minimum. But like, if I just make one more bad move, this is just a checkmate threat. That is very scary. That's why after bishop takes d4, I played bishop c5. I could also consider knight d7. But once again, I didn't like the look of knight g5. Although in this case, maybe I could play bishop c5. And if knight takes, rook takes, and if rook takes, I have check. But the issue is bishop takes and then knight takes. And I guess it's still fine because if rook takes, I can play take back with the knight. I guess it's still fine. And this transposes something very similar to the game. So I play bishop c5. He plays an unexpected move. He plays rook e5. I was like, what? Okay. That's, he's starting to play unexpected moves, which usually means one of two things. One, I'm missing moves and I'm about to and I'm losing the game. I'm missing key important moves. Or two, those moves are bad. Those are the only two reasons the moves are unexpected. Either I'm bad or he's bad. That's the or we're both bad. That's also possible. But in this case, I was feeling pretty good. Because I was like, that's weird. I'm gonna play knight d7. I attack his rook. I defend my bishop. Like, if he takes, I'm just gonna take, and like I have no concerns here for myself. So that's why he just goes back with his rook. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take the knight and play knight c5, defending my bishop on e6, and I really like my chances. If knight takes, rook takes, knight takes, I evaluated this endgame as only I can win. I think I can outplay a 1700 in this position. I think I can win this. I'm going to torture him for the rest of his life. I have the d4 square and the c5 square that I can control. Maybe he can play like a3, b5, try to keep the c5 square under lock. And yeah, this is not an easy endgame to try to win, but his king's a bit weak. I can play rook d8, and I'm just gonna poke and prod for the rest of the game, and I'm gonna try my best to win. Maybe I won't win, but I'm going to try my best. So that is what I expected to happen. After knight c5, that's what I expected to happen. But he shocks me once again and plays the move b4, and I knew this time it's bad. This time I knew this was not a good move, and I was able to punish it by playing very straightforward moves. I played knight takes d3. He plays knight takes e6, attacking my queen. I take back with the rook, and he could take my rook, but after pawn takes, knight takes, I played queen b6 check, king g2, queen takes, and for whatever reason, he didn't like having my pawn on e6. I don't know why. He didn't like this because it's a backwards pawn, but instead, he just takes the knight back immediately, and I play rook takes, and queen b6 check, and I still win the pawn anyways. So I am just up a clean pawn. So this is a dream scenario. This is an absolute dream scenario. I went from like, okay, I have to continue in this equal knight versus bishop ending, and I'm going to try to poke and prod, to I'm just up a pawn. His king is weak. My king is potentially weak, but not as weak as his king. I have good chances in this game. I have good chances. These pawns are split. These pawns are weak. I can do this. He plays rook d1, guarding the open file. Makes a lot of sense because I was going to play rook d8 if he didn't play rook d1. But then I just play rook c8. I'm saying, how are you defending the pawn, bro? How are you defending the pawn? He plays rook d4. I was like, okay, fair enough. I'm going to play queen c3. Saying, hey, where are you going with the rook? If you move your rook off this file, then I'm going to take the pawn on c4 with my queen. For example, if like queen d1, for example, then I could potentially play rook takes. I have to check here. My queen guards this diagonal. So the queen on c3 very, very useful in guarding this diagonal from any checks in the future. But he plays queen e5, a tactical solution, because if rook takes, there's checkmate, and even if there wasn't checkmate, how should I put this? If I play another move, he plays rook d8 check, winning my queen on c3. So he x-rays my queen with his rook, but it's not that bad. I just play queen c2 check. So I knew that if he played a move like that, then I win the pawn on a2. But before taking the pawn, I wanted to calculate that, hey, I need to make sure this is actually winning. And the main thing I calculated was after queen takes a2, rook d7, I take the pawn on c4 at a bare minimum. I might have other options, but this option looks good. And if rook takes, I have a5, and my queen guards the f7 pawn forever. I can also go rook a8 potentially, but I can play a5 at a bare minimum. And if he goes rook here, I can go. I can even go check in some cases, and then queen g2, and I have a very, very pleasant position here. Very, very pleasant position. But, you know, my rook's not in the corner. In this case, though, he plays queen e7. And I was like, oh my gosh, all my calculation was dumb. He just plays queen e7 first. And not only does he play queen e7, but he's also threatening to play rook d8 in some cases. So here are some of my candidate moves. I wanted to play a move like queen f2, but I was like, okay, well, that was rook d8, and takes, check. Well, actually, here I do guard the d4 square from another check. But one of my candidate moves was after queen e7 was queen b1, guarding the b7 pawn. But now rook d8 check does lead to a perpetual at a bare minimum. I can't escape. If I go to king h6, then he could consider queen f6 or queen d8 here. And it's a little bit scary. It's a little bit scary. Like, what am I going to do? If I go check here and take, then checkmate. Like, it's very easy to lose. And here I am trying to evaluate this position after queen b1. And the advantage of queen b1 is that it guards the pawn on b7. But it also keeps an eye on the f1 square to check the king. So I'm like, okay. I think for 25 minutes here. Maybe close to 30. So I have over 40 minutes on the clock. Now I have like less than 20. I play queen a1. I had to calculate a couple things. Firstly, there's two main moves. Rook d7, doubling up on the 7th rank, or queen takes b7, attacking the rook on c8. Black would take, white would take. So this is one of the main things I had to consider. Black would have to go up to b7. And now we both promote. That's the craziest part. c5, a5. If queen a8, I could just take the pawn. So he can't play queen a8 yet. He has to play c6. Then I play a5. Now he plays queen a8. I can play queen c4. And he could play c7. So I guess in this case, it would likely be a draw because of this. For some reason, I thought I could do it better than this. So a5, c6, queen a8. Yeah, this does look very annoying. Oh wait, no, not here. He has to play c6 first. Oh, queen c4 now. Yes, queen c4 now, maybe. But then queen b7 and a4, c7, a3. Yeah, this isn't good. So maybe my calculation was incorrect. I think my calculation, I thought I still had a chance to keep the pawn and we both promote. Like, for example, c6, a5, c7, a3, queen b8, a7, promote, promote. But here he just has checkmate. Oh, not checkmate. I thought it was checkmate for some reason. It is checkmate, I guess, eventually. So my calculation was just incorrect. That's wild. I thought yeah. So he should have just played queen takes b7. But instead he plays rook d7. And I was like, this is it. This is my chance. Queen f1 check. King h4. So this is the other thing I calculated. And my conclusion was, after rook f7, rook f8, I think I have some chances. If he plays rook takes b7, I think he loses because of queen g2. I'm threatening the h2 pawn. If he defends it, now I play queen f3, I'm threatening checkmate here. And if he tries to defend that, I can play f6, deflecting the queen away. The queen has no other squares. I guess it has queen h6 actually. But I can maybe play g5. And after it takes, there's... Oh wait, this rook is hanging. Oh yeah, this rook is hanging. If the queen blocks checkmate, this rook is hanging on b7. So I thought I had some chances. I definitely thought I had some chances here. Another move could be like, c5. And I was like, okay, well, once again, maybe I could go here. Maybe I go here. But he shocks me. He shocks me to my core here. He plays king g5. He's saying, I'm checkmating you. I'm getting my king to h6 and my queen to f6. And I'm doing a king and queen checkmate while you still have a queen and rook. This was an insane move. I was absolutely shocked. If I go queen h3, I was like, wait, king f6? And I was like, well, what's my queen doing here? Like, legitimately, what's my queen doing here? If I go queen h6, trying to go queen g7 check, this might actually hold it. For some reason, I thought it didn't work. In my head, this did not work because of queen takes, and rook d8 checkmate. But I can play queen takes f8, and I'm fine. So this might have been a way to do that. The queen h3 might have just worked. And if rook takes and I go, then I can go... Wait, yeah, what happens if rook takes b7? Rook takes b7, oh, f6. And he has to sacrifice his queen. So queen h3 looked like it was winning then. Queen h3 might have been winning then. I thought it wasn't. I think down to 30 seconds. After king g5, I think down to 30 seconds. I thought queen h3 was losing. But it's not. I was unsure about queen takes c4. If he plays king h6, I can play setting up queen f6, and I can play queen e6. Then takes. He, at the bare minimum, has a perpetual, I guess, which what he would probably do. So king h6. I don't think I have a good response to that. I could play queen c6, I guess, in this case. And if rook takes, then g5 check. And if king takes, there's check here and mate. So maybe this is also just fine as well. And if rook takes a5 maybe. So I was trying to calculate all this. And I ended up playing a horrible sequence of moves. I think all the way down to 30 seconds. He's trying to checkmate me with his king. I play h6, luring his king to the h6 square. If he goes king f6, then I can play queen takes c4. And if he takes my b7 pawn, then I can go queen e6 check, queen takes, pawn takes with a check, and whichever way the king takes, like say the g6 pawn, I go rook a8, and I'm going to promote my pawn. He could take this pawn, I'm going to push. He can go here, but I'm going to push. And he could even keep going. But it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, bam, go check here, but my queen guards the promotion square. I guess technically I could have gone here as well. That also works. So that also isn't bad for me. But if he takes, I saw that I can go check. If king g5, I can go check, and he can go king f6. I go queen h8 check, and he can go to h5. But if I ever try to go f6 check, he can take the pawn on g6. And look at this. Visually, just look at this. The queen and rook, like black is completely stuck on the edge. Like the turtle maneuver. You're just like completely hidden. You know, completely hidden. And I was like, oh, it's a draw. And I was like getting down to 30 seconds. I was like, okay, it's a draw. It's a draw. It's a draw. Game over. It's a good game. We did it. It's a draw. After king g5. f6 check is not winning because of king takes g6. That's the reason why it's not winning. The winning move is h7. Queen h7. It defends the pawn on g6. The white king is stuck in a box. If queen f6 to prevent pawn to f6, now it's checkmate because the king doesn't have an escape square. If queen e5, f6 check anyways. And after you take, it's not that you lose the rook, it's that it's still checkmate anyways. So this is forced checkmate. h6, and king takes h6. After king takes h6, it is forced checkmate for black. Black has forced checkmate after queen h7. I didn't see it, and it was a draw. It's so painful just even talking about it. Like, I can't miss these moves. You know, like, you know, you gotta use your brain. Like, after queen h8, what is white threatening? White is not threatening anything. It's not threatening anything. I just wasn't thinking straight. I just wasn't thinking straight. You know, like, it's nice whenever in chess when my brain actually works. Like, say it was a draw. And that was the game. I'm going to hit the game review, and I'll see you guys next one.